in partnership and with the support of Chandler-Gilbert Community College. So I would love to introduce you to Jenna Call with Chandler-Gilbert Community College.
Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. This is the second in a series of webinars, town halls, info sessions, however you want to kind of name it, that Chandler-Gilbert Community College has partnered with the Chamber of Commerce in the town of Gilbert to bring to light some great careers in growing career fields, in areas that students may not know a lot about, in areas that you may see day to day but not know the ins and outs of. So this one is a really good example of that, because a lot of people don't really know what manufacturing or advanced manufacturing looks and feels like today. So we wanted to make sure students had an opportunity to kind of know more and be curious and see what that looks like in today's world. So we're excited to keep partnering with the chamber, and we're excited to have all of our panelists here, and we're excited for the event.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you to Chandler-Gilbert Community College for your partnership. At this time, I do want to introduce you to your moderator for this afternoon. We have Jeremy Babinger of SciTech Institute. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi there. So thanks for having me here, and welcome to the Mythbusters of Manufacturing. I am Jeremy Babinger, the Executive Director of the SciTech Institute, and I'll be the moderator for this afternoon. And so, did you get a chance to catch some of the Mythbusters leading up to this event? If you missed them, the Gilbert Chamber drew attention to some common misconceptions in an effort to change the perception that manufacturing careers have low pay and benefits, are unsafe, or that there is low demand for manufacturing jobs, when in fact it is quite the opposite. And we hope that you'll walk away with a better understanding of the field and the resources available to you. To get started, we want to have a chance to hear from our panelists to learn more about their organizations. But the first, I want to make sure that we can make this as interactive as possible for our attendees. And so what I'd kindly ask is if each attendee can take advantage of the Q&A, and maybe first just let us know, where you're from and what you're most excited to hear about from our panelists, so they can keep that in mind as they're speaking. But please go ahead and write those Q&A or put them in the chat actually right now if you can, and just say hi, where you're from, and what you're most interested to learn about today. And the other thing, the nice thing about the ability of doing these on Zoom is that you can also pose your questions as they come up when the presenters are going. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat and speak right about what actually is most interesting to you as these come up. So our panelists today are Megan Dew from Footprint, Mike Jameson from the Wisdom Natural Brands, Leah Palmer, the Executive Director of AZAMI, and Jeremy Hartman from Northrop Grumman. And so let's begin with Megan Dew. Thank you for being here to talk a little bit more about your work, advanced manufacturing. And take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to share I prepared a couple slides, so I will share those. My name is Megan Dew. I work for Footprint. We're located in Gilbert. Our headquarters are in Gilbert. I'm right off of the corner of Gilbert and Germain. So if you're ever driving on the South 202, you can see our building from on the south side of the freeway. My current role there is I'm working as a project manager. And so what I do specifically is I manage the development from an initial idea of a product that we're going to manufacture. And I manage the development from conception all the way to we're actually building it in high volume on our manufacturing floor and facilitate the handoff to that. My educational background, I graduated from Arizona State University. It was there I completed both a master's and a bachelor's in chemical engineering. And I've been with Footprint for just about 3.5 years. And I wanted to take this time to give a little bit more background of what we do. But our goal at Footprint is to develop technology, packaging specifically. I should have done this in a different order, but I'll just start here are some sample products of things that we make at Footprint. Majority of what we do is focused around food commodities at this point in time. You can find products that we make in the frozen food, related to frozen food, ready-to-eat meals, meat trays, shelf-stable cups, drinking cups and lids, produce, quick service, so things that you'd eat at a restaurant, or consumer goods. And this could be packaging that's replacing, it's a sustainable, biodegradable, compostable solution to packaging rather than seeing lots of plastic or styrofoam. It's something that's a little bit better from the environment. And I'll kind of go to this page, but I showed you an idea of the products that we make, and all of the technology that we developed is specific to whatever that product it is, but our range of it is can be oil-proof and waterproof, leak-proof, microwave and oven safe, film sealable, recyclable, repulpable, biodegradable, non-stick. So the goal is for us as a company, if permission, is to create a planet that has a healthier planet and healthier people through manufacturing, which I think is such a great mission as a company. And it's one of the reasons why I love doing what I do and working with them.
Excellent. All right. So next, let's go to Leah Palmer over at Mesa Community College. So take it away, Leah.
Hello, my name is Leah Palmer, and I'm with the Advanced Manufacturing Institute. We go by AZAMI just to keep it short, but we're located at Mesa Community College, and you can practically throw a rock across the freeway and find us. So AZAMI is basically an umbrella, if you can picture that, at the college, where our primary focus is on sector strategy, sector meaning the manufacturing sector. And we're created as a center of excellence for business and industry so that we could help them stay competitive by providing a pipeline of skilled workers, ready to work employees. So from outreach to attracting those potential students and workers to enrollment, we help them with every step of the way, all the way to employment and actually engage employment strategies there at the college. AZAMI connects the local and regional businesses that are in need of a supply chain of talent, and we provide certifications that validate skill sets. And we have short-term programming that helps someone learn specific things in things like welding and electronics, 3D printing, drafting, machining, automation. Most things are moving in the future towards an automated technician. And so in addition to that, we also have robotics. That is going to be the next wave in the future of work. So we have to create, as an education institution now, kind of new and flexible models of delivery so that people can finish either in a short duration, accelerated duration, and have a menu kind of the more innovative and customized services. We also reach out to dual enrollment to our high schools to make sure that we're starting them thinking about their career at a younger age and actually helping them get college credit while they're in high school. We do apprenticeships, and another term for apprenticeships really is you get paid to earn and learn at the same time that you're gaining your skill sets. We do paid internships where we get scholarships and we actually pay for students to go on site at an employer site for 160 hours to actually get hands-on and become familiar with both the products and the place. And it's important because students really who come to Mesa Community College to the Arizona Manufacturing Institute are investors in their future, and they're paying tuition to become a highly skilled employee. So we employ instructors that are actually from industry to be our faculty, and we have, in a recent case, been working with Boeing, who needed a large number of electrical wiring and J-standard trained technicians. And so in the last 9 months, we've trained over 300 students in these skill sets with certifications, employability skills, and the ability to take one class in 9 days and actually be employable. So it's both for long-term training and short-term training. And lastly, we actually lead to a bachelor's degree called a 90-30 with NAU for industrial leadership. Good to be here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Leah, for the overview. And next to Mike Jameson. Thank you for being here. Take it away, Mike.
Thank you, Jeremy. My name's Mike Jameson. I'm Vice President of Operations for Wisdom Natural Brands here in Northwest Gilbert. So the opposite end from our friends at Footprint up near Baseline and Mesa Drive. So we are one of the leading natural sweetener companies here in the United States, selling our products throughout the US and into about 30 other countries. Our founder, Jim May, was the first to bring the natural sweetener stevia to the United States about 40 years ago. So we continue to build on his legacy and our core stevia business by adding new good-for-you products on a regular basis. We also continue to develop other natural sweeteners. We just recently launched a whole new product line based on the natural sweetener called monk fruit. I think Lisa has some pictures of some of our products, if she can share those. Monk fruit's another 0-calorie sweetener like stevia that can replace sugar. So in addition, our R&D department is working on new products constantly, and we anticipate another new sweetener launch in 2021. So my background, I come from the finance and accounting world. After obtaining my bachelor's in accounting, I ended up in manufacturing as a controller for a family-owned milk processor in Northeast Indiana. When you get exposed to manufacturing, several doors can open up for you. I worked hand in hand with all aspects of the business, touching sales as we determined pricing models, procurement as we calculated the impact of various programs to attract dairy farmers to sell us their milk. I worked with our distribution team as we determined delivery costs for our various delivery modes. I worked with our production team as we looked at our manufacturing costs and components through an ever-changing pricing complexity. So I was able to transfer a lot of this experience with a few other positions to eventually arrive at my position here for Wisdom. The ability to touch so many different areas is what's always excited me about working in manufacturing. Food manufacturing in particular has many government agencies that require strict adherence to their guidelines for quality, cleaning requirements, record keeping, and GMPs, good manufacturing practices. So if you step into a food manufacturer's production floor, you're going to see and experience a very clean and a very efficient operation. You have and will continue here today about some clean and efficient theme with other manufacturers both today and in the future. And I would encourage anyone to at least consider exploring options in a career of manufacturing. And when you think about manufacturing, I just wanted to touch on a few of the areas. We're only 40 employees here, but I have sales positions, marketing positions, accounting, IT, HR, logistics, procurement, production, research and development, and warehousing. So there's a lot of opportunities in many different areas for someone looking at being involved with a manufacturer. Thank you, Jeremy.
All right, thank you for being here. And next, I won't have a hard time pronouncing his first name. So we have Jeremy Hartman from Northrop Grumman. So love to hear what you're up to over at Northrop.
Great. Well, greetings, everybody. Good afternoon. I have a presentation. Lisa, would you be showing it, or do you want me to share it? All right, cool. So I support the satellite manufacturing facility, which is off of McQueen and Elliott. So I'm excited to talk about a little bit of what my organization does, but also what I do on a day-to-day basis, and kind of talk about my passion for manufacturing. So next slide, please. So I'm really proud of working for Northrop Grumman. People ask me what I do all the time, and I'm able to say I work for Northrop Grumman. We build satellites for NASA and the Department of Defense. And usually people are like, whoa, that's super cool. And I agree. So some of our satellites look at the ice caps melting, global warming. They map storms. So very cool stuff. Some of our satellites are used for Department of Defense, and I can't tell you what those do, but very cool stuff as well. It's a big organization, the Space Systems Overview, and this isn't just Gilbert-centric. We have about 22,000 people across the country, a big $8 billion in revenue annually. And so Northrop Grumman, especially my division, has great aspirations to become the #1 Department of Defense supplier. Next slide, please. This is, we talked about how it's across the country. This shows the spread of employees based on color. Arizona's been growing like crazy. That Gilbert facility is expanding greatly. The satellite manufacturing facility where we integrate and test the satellites, that's going from 100,000 square feet to 200,000 square feet within the next year. We are just finishing up a 2-story building where we're gonna have a lot of engineers, and that's a 200,000 square foot building. So that campus is definitely growing. It's a big emphasis for our satellite division. Majority of the folks are in Arizona. We do partner with Dulles, Virginia. That's where our headquarters is at. So I interact with Dulles quite a bit in Arizona. Obviously, I live in Arizona. Next slide, please. So the division I work in, the tactical space, I just wanted to kind of, there's different, Northrop's a big company, very matrixed organization. Within Space Systems, I am in the Tactical Space Systems division. So I already talked a little bit about what some of our satellites do. There are some commercial applications. We do get involved in human exploration systems, which is pretty cool. Anyways, next slide, please, just to be a little bit more specific. So the big guy on the left is me. This is a picture of us. We opened up a small little facility, well, where we do a lot of our manufacturing. My team in general, so I'm the general manager of, the manufacturing general manager of the Harness Work Center. Some of my core duties are staffing, and I'm going to read from here, but process improvement. And really, it's like I own my own little business. So training, continuous improvement, obviously 5S, which is a lean tool. Hopefully most of you guys have heard of that. Any purchasing of equipment or tooling. I'm trying to drive down cycle time. Obviously we work with people, so a lot of ergonomic factors and safety. Also, I'm huge on lean manufacturing. So hopefully you guys are manufacturing interested, you've heard lean concepts, but I always describe it kind of in a humorous way that I'm lazy, which means I just like to do the value added operations, things that add value to the hardware, things that it's streamlined, things that are important to do. And that's, for me, that I look at lean, and it's just about that. It's eliminating waste. My team in general that I manage is 5 engineers, 28 manufacturing technicians, and these engineers are manufacturing engineers, so I should specify that. We have planning, we have an operations supervisor, so a lot, test technician, and some QA. So a lot goes into our thing here. Some of our bigger satellites that I work on, Landsat 9, you can Google all this stuff, JPSS, really cool satellites, and a really neat new product line called Espastar, which is growing like crazy. So that's taking a lot of our time, and which is great. We're staffing up for Espastar growth. Next slide. So I'm assuming most of you Oh, I have automation. Sorry. A lot of you maybe haven't heard of harness. Like, what is a harness? Thank you for just stepping through the automation. So I liken it to the nervous system in a human body. So it basically sends signals and it sends power to the satellite. It's a bunch of wires and connectors, but it's very critical to the satellite, and it's actually pretty complex, just as the nervous system is. So for folks that have never heard of a harness before, there's harnesses in your cars, not as complex as what we do in satellites, but you'll see harnesses all over used in applications. All right, next slide, unless I'm done with automation. I might not be done with just, yeah, keep going, it's fine. Yeah, thank you, all right. Cool automation. Next slide, please. Oh man. There you go. So the bundle of wires terminates to connectors, forming one-to-one connection. So it's just to show I have people come in all the time. I just kind of give them this brief overview of what a harness is. All right, next slide, please. Yeah, just go right past that. I'll talk to my guy. So as I talk, I've worked for a lot of the bigger manufacturing facilities or companies within Arizona. If anybody's been in Arizona for a long time, Motorola was the #2 employer next to the state. That's where I cut my teeth. I was started as an operator in a clean room working on microchips, but I learned a lot about Six Sigma, a lot about engineering. I worked in completely different areas, electroplating, wet etch, photolithography, sputtering, chemical vape. It was a really good opportunity to learn really what true manufacturing is like, and that's where I kind of learned my passion. I worked at General Dynamics in Scottsdale. We built, again, satellites, so I learned a little bit about that. And I worked in Honeywell in Tempe. I was a product marketing manager for engine valves and air turbine starters, so I learned a lot about aeronautics. That product line grossed $400 million of revenue every year. So I was like a product manager. I wasn't a people manager, but really great experiences. Next slide. I'm trying to be real quick with this. I won't go over this completely, but this is for my team in a manufacturing facility. These key things are very important. So respecting your coworkers, because it's hard when you have deadlines and you have schedules and you have pressures, to always be respectful, be professional. I used to coach varsity basketball in Gilbert Classical Academy, so high school varsity basketball. So I'm very big on team building, team atmosphere, utilizing each other's strengths, using your team to build up your core so everybody's functioning at a high level. And then obviously open communication. Last slide, and I swear it's last slide. So some of my workplace mantras, I'm big on Dale Carnegie. If you guys have ever done any Dale Carnegie research or training, I talk more about the 3 C's, so criticizing, condemning, complaining. For manufacturing, the hidden factory, if you've not heard that term, it's huge. That's all the tribal knowledge. It's well, so-and-so told me to do that. That's how I know how to do it. One of my core things in my job is to drive out the hidden factory, document, create specs, get everybody trained up to the best practice. I talked about the laziness thing, and efficiency is intelligent laziness. I'm always looking to improve. So manufacturing, for people that are passionate about improving the process, improving your yield, improving your cycle time, man, that's what it's about. So if you're passionate about taking something and making it better, manufacturing is perfect for you. Mistakes, unfortunately, they do happen. So what we do in manufacturing is to make sure we always learn from our mistakes, just like in life. But hey, we made a mistake. Okay, we got to fix it. We got to document why that happened and try to error-proof that from happening again. I think that's my last slide. Try to fit it all in there. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that overview. And I love the, just the best practices and words of wisdom. I think that'll be great for our students thinking about future. I want to jump to the questions. We titled this "Myth Busting with Manufacturing," and so, the Gilbert Chamber presented some common misconceptions about the manufacturing industry. what do each of our panelists feel is the biggest misconception you have encountered, and how might we change that perception? And so I'd like to start with Megan of what her experience out of college and going into Footprint to start, and then next to Leah, Mike, and then Jeremy.
Of course. And just to make sure, misconceptions is what we're focusing on right now.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. So I gave a little bit of my background before. I studied chemical engineering. And to be totally honest, when I first began out of high school, when I began my educational journey, I was kind of unsure of what does it mean to be a chemical engineer. I was more fascinated with the science and the technology of developing new things. But what drew me to the engineering part of it was understanding that whatever idea you come up with in a lab, we get to make it in high volume so that everyone can use it and enjoy it. And that's where manufacturing comes in. And so a common misconception that I really thought of before I started working with Footprint was that manufacturing was very limited and many people were involved in it. And that's exactly the opposite. Pretty much anything that you see or we work with on a daily basis is manufactured in some way. And there's so many different jobs, just kind of how Mike kind of touched on in his introduction, that it's not just the people. If you think manufacturing big machines and moving pallets across the warehouse, that's part of it, but there's so much more detail and planning and science and data collection and human interaction in manufacturing. And that's one of the reasons I love working in this field, is because you get to diversify, and every day is different. There's new problems to be solved, new innovations to be made, and kind of how Jeremy touched on, it's this cycle of continuous improvement of always wanting to make something better. Because that's what makes a better product, and really at the end of the day, that's what makes your job more fun.
Very cool. And then Leah, from your perspective, you're seeing the pipeline of students coming in and really get to hear about what some of the, misconceptions of students already come into with manufacturing. But what have you found?
Well, I think that there is a disconnect between what some manufacturer employers have been expecting in terms of students' talent and students' abilities, and what the students are actually looking for in their job. And when they find each other, they all have an aha moment. But for example, a lot of the job descriptions say 5 years experience, and manufacturing is changing so rapidly that a lot of these students are up and current on technology and get to see and bring the new technology into manufacturing. So, for example, there is new learning and development programs now that are helping companies attract and be part of that next gen and future of work with technology, and be able to reduce that 5 years experience, because a lot of this stuff hasn't even been out there 5 years. And increasing flexibility in the hiring processes. A lot of manufacturers are now more willing to overlook some of these long-term goals and look at, how do I fill this position and train someone on the job and give them experience while they're earning and learning. And that's where we become a partner. They've actually reached out now and are trying to pair up people who've retired from the business with those now coming into the workforce, so that they can actually teach them some of the best practices. And with automated technologies, some of these new age workers, if we want to call them that are looking for technology as their next home, manufacturing now is that potential home, and being able to work with robotics and some of these things. And so the stories that manufacturers have to tell about the nature of the work and the nature of the future of their work, as well as students understanding that what they come with actually can do very well at that. Lastly, just like athletes get signing bonuses and things, manufacturers cannot pay the wages that someone can get in fast food or for a skilled worker. They're going to need to look and say, this skill is so valuable to me that I'm worth giving this individual a long-term home. So those are the things.
Okay, that's yeah. Love the response on that one. Mike, what have you encountered in your experience?
Sure. I think a common misconception about manufacturing is that it's old, it's boring, and it's not an avenue for an exciting career. And that's unfortunate. And I think ways that we can help correct that, pretty short and sweet, is things like we're doing today, where we're sharing as manufacturers, all the different opportunities for what's out there, and for a graduate today to experience and to hang their hat on a career that they can stay with, even if they don't stay with the same employer. It is a great avenue for career advancement.
And how about you, Jeremy? What have you found?
I think at times, sometimes the word manufacturing gets looked down on, like we're the low part of the food chain. We have electrical engineers, and obviously I've heard chemical engineering, which is really cool. I think in general, we're on the floor and we have a lot of opportunity to identify improvements. Manufacturing definitely has a lot of job availability. And for someone like me, I started at 18 at Motorola in manufacturing. I got an opportunity. So I think manufacturing does open up a lot of doors. So even if you have to come in on the ground, like I did, that you learn how the technicians or operators build things, and it really helps you in your career development. But as a manager of manufacturing folks, you come in and you work hard and you learn, no matter what position you're at, you're going to get noticed, you're going to get acknowledged, and you're going to have open doors for you, especially at a huge company like Northrop. And I'm not recruiting, but it's a big company with lots of opportunities. And if you come in there every day and you work hard and you do your best and you ask questions, manufacturing is a good place to either be a springboard for your career. It can go in so many different avenues, or it could just be in manufacturing. There's plenty of levels to grow and to get promoted within as well.
Perfect. All right, on to the next question. I'm really looking for, we have students looking for next steps. What advice would you have for someone interested in starting a career in manufacturing, and what is the best resource if they want to dive deeper into this after today? And so maybe first start with Leah, since you're working primarily with students.
Absolutely. So I think a good friend of mine said, if God didn't make it, somebody manufactured it. And that's the truth. But somebody actually had to think about and be creative to find a solution. So, but I want to tell the youth and those who are even considering what kind of job they want in the future, I've got a couple of things that I would throw at them to actually evaluate. One, are you a good problem solver? Do you like to troubleshoot? Are you someone who, with Tetris and your puzzles and your designs, finding solutions and inventing stuff on your own? Well, then manufacturing is a place where you will fly and excel, because troubleshooting is one of the #1 skills that employers are looking for in somebody who would love that kind of job. Another one is attention to detail. Mistakes cost money, and manufacturers have lots of details, designs, and they need someone who has attention to detail. Are you good at that? You will love this, because that matters in manufacturing. Also, flexibility. I mean, there is so many areas in manufacturing that you can parlay, just like Jeremy said, and make these are jobs that grow you for other jobs. So where you start isn't where you finish. And your flexibility in a hiring process or in an adaptability process will make you undeniable in the manufacturing sector. So first of all, I just say, think about what your gifts are, and then you can apply that in manufacturing.
Very cool. And then Megan, how about you? What would advice you give about someone starting a career in manufacturing?
Yeah. I think all of the panelists have touched on it, that there's lots of opportunities to start, and it's kind of finding a way to get your feet wet, as the expression goes, and get a feel for what is your best, the niche for you, because there is so many diverse roles that you can play in. I know for me, what helped me get started into it is that while I was looking for it, there's lots of great opportunities that programs like what Leah's leading within the Mesa Community College, or what they're doing at Chandler-Gilbert, but just not even those educational institutes, but across the valley, that offer opportunities for you to, whether it's an internship or a opportunity like a day in the life sort of experience, a shadowing, an apprenticeship, that give you an opportunity to look into panelists like that, or panel discussions like this. That's a great way to learn and get introduced to it. And it gives you an idea of what to look at and realize, okay, these companies are manufacturing, and I can start by, maybe I'm a shift worker and I'm actually out on the floor, or I want to learn more about how the warehouse is controlled, or quality assurance. So my advice would be, do your homework and kind of look introspectively of what excites you the most, and then understand how that would apply to different roles within a manufacturing setting. And then go out and pursue and do your homework and research and find where can you get those opportunities to help you learn. Because yes, an internship will give you experience, but at the same time, it's giving you the opportunity to learn about yourself, of what your strengths are, and if it's the best fit for you. I know that's what I did, and that's how I ended up where I am today.
Right. I remember you started out at Footprint as an intern, correct? As an undergrad, and then they kept you on full time after that, right?
Yes. So kind of following that same premise, is I discovered that while manufacturing is something that I'm interested in, and I'm really passionate about the environment, and so that combination of, Footprint is a technology company that has lots of manufacturing that's focused on improving the environment. And so they had an opening and an opportunity, and I took it and started as an intern. And then once I got in, I realized, hey, I'm doing an internship. I started in the lab doing like quality testing, and then realized, I really like the more program management of it. And so I had my foot in the door and was able to work and say, this is what I'm interested in. And when an opportunity came up, I was ready to take it.
Very awesome. Mike, any words of wisdom from your perspective in terms of people looking to start?
Thanks, Jeremy. Leah and Megan have both touched on the idea and concept of internships. Those are fantastic. If you can get inside of an operation and see what it's like, you'll find out if you have an appetite for it or not. Network, whether it's a chamber function or an educational function, connect with people, ask tons of questions. People will think you're a great conversationalist if you ask a lot of questions. Tours, virtual visits, anything to get a glimpse behind the scenes. Most manufacturers are extremely proud of what they've accomplished and would be willing to give a small group a deeper dive into what they've accomplished.
And Jeremy, I know that you had a lot of words of wisdom in your PowerPoint already. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I think going on and looking at companies' jobs on the internet, looking at their job portal or career page, you get to see what the requirements are typically. So I think that's a really good place to start. For me, my aunts worked at Motorola when I was a kid, and always said great things about it. And obviously, there was a Motorola almost on every corner. So for me, it was easy. I wanted to focus on getting into Motorola, but the requirements are out there. It typically talks about the job. Research companies that you see or that you hear of that have products that you think are cool or that you're passionate about. And then usually you can find a lot of information on the internet nowadays and figure out which companies to go for. And sometimes you do have to do that. You just pick a few companies that you really want to get into, and keep your eye on their job board and just keep applying. And definitely network and ask questions. Like Mike said, definitely ask questions. That's really my advice for that.
Perfect. Okay. And then I appreciate the answers for that. We did get a couple questions from the attendees. I'd also encourage if there's additional questions you have to post them in the chat or the Q&A, either one works. But going on continuing with just starting out, one of the questions was, is a college degree necessary? And is there any sort of apprenticeship model? I know we touched upon that, that Megan started having an internship and that worked successfully for her, but in general, is a degree required in the apprenticeship? Does anybody want to address that one first?
I'll jump on that, coming from an educational platform. I can tell you that investing in yourself to get some basic skills and to actually test drive equipment and at Mesa Community College, we have electronics equipment, robotics equipment, mechanical, welding. You can come and check it out and see what the actual needs are. The degree, that's something that will take you from being a technician to actually being a supervisor or manager. And there's ways to do that, learn and earn while you're going on the job. But there's also things that are short-term industry certifications, just like the Boeing certification for electrical wiring and harness. The harness that Jeremy was telling you about for the satellites. The same harnesses are being built for Apaches with but almost 100 feet long sometimes. And to learn how to do that with precision and expertise, you can do that with a very short one-class intervention and an industry certification. And then, you know what? After you work for a company like Northrop or Boeing and others, they'll pay for your education so that you can continue to get your education. So it's all about the door that you go in and the desire you have to get to the top.
Does anybody else want to add to that?
I would just add that, kind of echoing what Leo said, that there's an opportunity to get started anywhere. And you just find what works best for you. How manufacturing has evolved and continues to evolve, it's also in part of the models that it uses to onboard and hire people, and people to work and keep manufacturing alive. So once you pick what you want to do and start, there's opportunities to grow, as long as you're willing to get in there and work hard, like Jeremy touched on earlier.
Perfect. And then we had another question about, this is a Gilbert Chamber of Commerce focused conversation. And so are there advantages in Gilbert for manufacturing companies compared to other cities in Arizona or in the US for that matter?
I'll jump in there. So I think Gilbert and the East Valley in total provides a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of new locations going up, and I think there's another chamber member that talked about the 3 Ds of manufacturing: dirty, dark, and dangerous. That's a total misconception, and we're not that way anymore. You step into any of the plants out here in the East Valley, you're going to be tremendously surprised. So I think it provides a new opportunity to work in a growing industry. There's investments being made into the companies here. You can't help but look at the new buildings going up and just marvel at what is happening in the valley in total, but in particular the East Valley. So yes, tremendous opportunities in the East Valley.
And Jeremy, it looked like from the map of the US, there's a lot of places that Northrop could have chosen, and it seems like Arizona is a really preferable location. So maybe speak to that a little bit more.
Sure. There's some business advantages, like when you come compared to the East Coast, like New York or Virginia, because the cost of living is so high, and that goes as well as California. So the cost of buying land, the cost of developing the land, but also our cost of living. So it's advantage to build the infrastructure in Gilbert versus Dulles, Virginia, because it's so expensive on the East Coast. So I think we really have that going for us. Obviously, I live in Gilbert. I live on Gilbert and Elliott. I love the city. I've been in Gilbert for 20 years, and it's a great place to live. And I'm so excited that I get to work in the city that I love. So, but as a business perspective, I think the land's there. I think, I don't know if the city's doing any, what deals they're doing with the companies or what the state is doing, but I can tell you the labor rates are pretty good and the land is priced better compared to California or Virginia.
Right. So we're getting close to the 4 o'clock time. I wanted to give each of our panelists any final comments or remarks that you wanted to say just about the space, the manufacturing that we might not have covered in the conversation.
This is Leah. I think that because of manufacturing looking like maybe it's for the, larger equipment and, some of the older technologies, it's hard to picture the clean rooms and manufacturing that Dexcom and others do in medical devices, and the manufacturing that happens with 3D printing and alloys and metals that are happening now that are lighter and faster. The future is happening in manufacturing, and that isn't the picture that we typically draw on when we think of manufacturing. But I can tell you that some of the most magical and amazing things that I've ever seen have happened on a manufacturing floor, watching an idea come to pass with somebody building an idea. So I just say, for those of you who are interested in what's going to be coming, you need to think about manufacturing as an option for you to become a builder of that.
I like that. Those are really good words of wisdom. Anybody else, anything final to say or add?
I just say that I think all of us are probably open. If there's anybody that wants a follow-up question or spend a little time one-on-one with any of us, take advantage of it. Reach out and ask. We're happy to.
Perfect. Maybe post if you're open to that, maybe post your contact information in the chat. Perfect. Okay, well then with that, I want to just thank our panelists. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be part of this conversation. I think getting the word out more about what manufacturing is critical. I would also like to thank the Chandler-Gilbert Community College for partnering with the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce to bring us today's panel event. And if you'd like to learn more about today's panelists or the workforce initiatives and programs available through the Gilbert Chamber of Commerce, please reach out to Lisa Potter. And Lisa, you can probably put your contact information in the chat as well. And I don't know, Lisa, if you wanted to close us out or add any final comments for the conversation.
Yes, thank you, Jeremy, and thank you to all of our panelists today. We're really grateful for your time and sharing your expertise and your advice with us today. And to all of our attendees, if you'd like to reach out to me, I'll put my email address in the chat box as well. And you can reach out if you have any questions for any of our panelists today, or if you would like to get connected with them outside of this event. So thank you. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you.